This is Angela with Infectious Magazine here with telling the story so far. How are you?
Doing well.
How is the tour going?
It's also going well. It's a bit of controlled chaos that I love. I vibe off of it, so it's good.
Oh, this isn't your first year, right?
It is.
Is it?
Very first year, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now what are we? We're like halfway through, at least halfway through now, right?
Yeah.
So has it gotten easier, or is it just kind of like still chaotic as can be?
We've got the routine down, but the whole idea of Warped Tour is just kind of chaotic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it seems like it's been pretty seamless. Like I don't think too many bands, or if any, have had that big issues, getting a show at the festival. I think today was the first day where it was like questionable with all the rain, but
every year.
Is it?
Literally every single year.
It's too funny.
It's pouring.
It shouldn't be pouring. It's a little rain, right?
I know. It's not April. It doesn't make sense. So I've heard with setlist, it's a bit of an art to create them, similar to track lists. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into that and what goes into creating yours?
Yeah, we're not playing some of the longer songs. Some of the ones kids might expect us to play, I guess, just for the mere fact that we have to keep it to 30 minutes. We figure it's better to play more songs than to have one and have to, one in place of like two. So we made the mistake the first day of going overtime. So kids were it was kind of an uprising because we didn't play that song Quicksand. So, it wasn't our fault. In a sense it was. We weren't necessarily adjusted to the, it's a very sharp schedule. So we went over, got cut off. But it was all good. We readjusted. We've been playing the same set now for a while, so it works, so we don't get cut off, so it's all good.
It's good though, right? Like having that, I would think, at least from an audience perspective, that having that straight cutoff is good because it's so frustrating when the bands are running over and then you're waiting for like an hour between sets.
They just won't, bands won't do it. That's the thing. They won't, they'll have it their own schedule quickly, so we can't blame them. It's not like we were upset.
Oh, yeah.
We're just like, we need to readjust because we can't have this happen again. So it took a few days, but we got it.
Now, what do you want fans and aspiring artists to know about the music industry from your experience with it?
It's a weird thing. I think it's funny when people think we're much different than they are. But the fact is, I attended Advanced World Tour just as like anyone, and for this opportunity to be, my opportunity now it's a little hard to adjust to, I suppose. So to be a part of things now, being on the other side of things, as opposed to being a fan of those things. I don't know. It obviously is different when you have that sense of reality and you see behind the scenes and whatnot. I don't think it's as large a concept as people make it to be because it's foreign to them. There's a lot of online presence and a lot of, I guess, fantasy as to who these people are and what we're doing and the whole package of it. But really, I don't know. We get together like we've been since we were in high school writing our albums and doing this sort of thing. So it's just the same grind. There's really nothing. There's no magic dust. There's nothing. It's really just it's a reality. I don't know.
Well, what I was going to say as well is being on the other side of it now. What was cleared up about, things that fans would question, like how does this work, or that you can sort of understand a bit better being on the other side?
There's so many people biting for so few people's attention. I feel like, you have a band, and the band obviously has this organization of fans. Each of those fans wants a piece of that person. Touring with those bands, you really get to bond with them and get a sense of who they are as a human being. And so, there's a lot of times where bands do things that fans don't necessarily understand, but when you're in the band and you've experienced what it's like touring and the realities you obviously face on the road, it's funny how demanding people are for those things, but being from this side, it's I have a complete understanding of why those things happen and why bands have to cancel shows and why bands have to do certain things sometimes. Obviously it's very general, but things happen,
Yeah.
It's a rigorous lifestyle. Some of these guys have been doing it for years and years and years, you know what I mean? So it's I don't know. I'd say as far as for fans to just be as understanding as they can be, because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that they don't realize because they just have, a CD in their hand, or,
Yeah, it's not a real person yet. It's just a CD.
They don't understand, if they were in the position, they would, understand if it was them, but they're not,
Yeah, I feel like it's hard because no matter how much you try to be connected to your fans, there is still that automatic disconnect because you can't show everything. So they can't be there all the time to see how everything works.
Exactly. We try to spend as much time talking to people. The thing is, it's really important to give people. It's attention they deserve, you know, with what's reasonable, just for the mere fact that, like I said, I know that if I was in their position and someone I looked up to, you know, like as an artist, spent that time with me, you know, like shook my hand or whatever, at least like acknowledged my existence, like it's kind of like a meaningful thing, you know. Like I don't feel more important than anyone, but I do understand that like we've created something that they look up to and see us as producing, and they see that as significant, and so being behind that, you know, it's sort of a responsibility to, I don't know, just make that display of like kindness and humanity to them, you know, because it means something.
Well, it's a huge responsibility, right? I mean, if your time wasn't so consumed by music, what other venture would you like to try out one day?
I'd probably still be in college. I was an economics major. I was about a year from graduating, but then opportunity knocked. So
that's a tough decision. That's so close, so close.
I know, but I mean, this is what I always wanted to experience. So you know, so long as I experience this, like, you know, school doesn't go away.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I want to make the most of this. See how far we can take it. So I'd probably be doing that. I don't know. I mean, I'm a pretty simple guy. You know, it doesn't take much to make me happy. So
you can probably get a scholarship if you go back this time too.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a scholarship for this.
No, it's one of those experience scholarships. You know, write an essay or whatever.
There's no merit to it, I guess.
And then also, if you could have given yourself 10 years ago as well as 10 years in the future, any piece of advice, what would it be?
I've been asked about the future before, and that's the thing. Like with the future is
future, right?
You can only prepare for it so much. You know, like obviously there's so many variables that are beyond your control in that regard. But I mean, looking back, I mean, things I could have done differently. I feel like I have this perspective now that I didn't have when I was young. I don't know. It's really like, I think if people have this reservation of what their peers will think, especially in the high school sort of, you know, scenario where like they feel like all this attention is directed at them in like a negative way, where they may be afraid, they have reservations about like, I don't know, being themselves or like doing the things that make them happy. But like if you stick with those things and you do them without any sort of regard for what other people think about it, you know, like so long as those things are I don't know, I'd say positive influence, then go for it, don't hold back, you know, and those sorts of things. There's a lot of things I wish I did, you know, times when I wish I'd like stood up for people or done things, but like had been concerned maybe with, you know, my group of friends or someone would have thought of me that I didn't do it. It's like, those are the sorts of things that kick yourself over the most. Like, be a good human being first, don't worry about what other people are going to think. The other thing is too, like people, you know, if all these people have the same idea, you know, then those people aren't really, you know, very their attention is directed more towards their own insecurities than towards you.
Yeah.
You know, so if you have that idea that like that's true, then you know it makes it a lot easier to be yourself and help other people.
What is one question that you'd like to be asked but never have been? And what's that?
You know, I really should know that because I get asked a lot of the same questions over and over again. I know what I don't want to be asked, but I don't want to be asked how my album sounds because I don't think there's anything any way I can describe.
Bias, isn't it?
It's like well, you've listened to it, like you can explain it, but like I don't see how I could explain, you know, something like an audio experience in a way that makes someone want to pick it up or like do it justice. It's like just listen to it, just get it and listen to it. Like especially if you're watching an interview, like I only watch interviews I know, like bands that I already know. Even when I was young, it's like I'm already familiar. Like,
draw your own conclusions.
Yeah, just don't ask anything too like I don't know. Sometimes people want to get like kind of weird and ask like super personal things. It's almost like, you know, all right, there's got to be a line, but I don't know. I know what I don't want to be asked. I don't know if I know what I do want to be asked. So.
That's good
Sorry,
enough.
I kind of just vented it.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you. I don't know. Yeah, I appreciate your time.
All right, thanks very much.
Yeah, of course.